Now this is the 2024 Shimano Vanford, and arguably one of the most popular mid-price range spinning reels on the market today for targeting freshwater and light saltwater fishing applications. But when it comes to who reigns the mid-tier spinning reel market, the answer might not be the Vanford. And this is not because of Daiwa's Tatula MQLT or competitors from other brands, but rather because of Vanford's less-known twin that few people are talking about. So today, let me review Vanford's twin, who is threatening its throne of mid-tier spinning reel. Now, earlier 2025, Shimano rolled out the Complex XR within the MJL spinning reel family. Now, in my hand is the F6 2500HG Complex XR. Now, overall, it has a silvery appearance. It might look very different from the 24 Vanford. Now, Vanford is metallic black throughout with metallic red accent, while the Complex is gray on the body and silvery on the spool, with very different shape of decorative vents on the spool as well. Now, also notice the Vanford has a metal handle, most likely it's the aluminum alloy, while the Complex actually has a composite handle. The material is most likely the CI4 Plus. The differences of appearance pretty much stop here. The body, the rotor, the drag knob, the chrome fence plates are all identical. The Complex XR comes at only 4 models. The model comes as F4 or F6, and F4 is 4-pound test 100 meters, while F6 is 6-pound test 100 meters line capacity. And these models are quite focused on finesse application of bass fishing, while Vanford actually covers from panfish to trout to bass to super light saltwater jigging and Japanese-style sea bass or surf game. Now, I'm not buying too much to this bass-focusing theme of the Complex though. Now, Vanford can do pretty much everything I wanted to do already. I bought a Complex simply because I needed another spinning reel, but I don't want a Vanford. Neither did I want to cough up the dollars to get another Vanquish. So I got the F6 2500 HG model. By the way, the 2024 Vanford in hand is a 2500 Ace HG model. So let's do more comparison in detail. Now on the scale, both bodies weigh 115 grams. The metal handle of Vanford weighs about 5 grams more than the Complex composite handle. Now weight-wise, Shimano claims both reels weigh 175 grams or 6¼ ounce. After filling the spool with straight fluorocarbon, the Complex weighs about 180 grams. The Vanford weighs about 185 grams. Now remember, the Vanford has lower line capacity than the actual Complex. The weight difference is mostly coming from the handle. The Complex F6 2500 HG has slightly more line capacity than the Vanford 2500 Ace HG. Now the 5-pound test 130 meters versus the 5-pound test 100 meters for the Vanford 25 Ace HG. Now technically, the Complex spool is not a shallow 2500 spool by definition of Shimano, while the Vanford 25 Ace HG does have a typical shallow spool. So after putting line on the spool, the Complex comes with 9+1 bearings, while the Vanford has 7+1. The 2 extra bearings come with the Complex so-called rigid support drag feature, and in this feature, the spool was supported by 2 bearings on the main shaft to avoid the spool from fluttering, thus provide more stable drag. And this is the only feature that the 24 Vanford is not equipped with. Now all other functions are pretty much exactly the same, like infinity drive, Core X Protect, anti-twist fin, and also the Complex does not have the super slow oscillation just like the Vanford, making it good for straight fluorocarbon use. So from these comparisons, you can see the body and the rotor of the two are essentially identical. Really, the difference are in the spool and in the spool only. Now, for the extra 2 bearings in the spool, the complex is about $25 more than the 24 Vanford. Now, albeit the differences in spool, the spools are still interchangeable. And the handles are interchangeable as well. So what Shimano has really done here is now using exactly the same inner parts of a Vanford to assemble into the same body and rotor, but just in the gray color. Then put on a different handle and spool and name it Complex XR. So how did the Complex XR live up to the test? Does the slight change make any difference in the real world fishing? I started using it about 6 months ago, and the rod I paired it with first was the Evergreen Clado Spider Spin. This is a rather interesting rod, very powerful, very fast, and does not bend deep, not super sensitive. I spooled an 8-pound test of fluorocarbon and used the setup to throw net rig for Great Lake smallmouth. Honestly, the cast, the retrieve, the bail flip, and the line management, everything performed exactly like the Vanford. Now, it's pretty smooth, but again, not as smooth as Vanquish or Stella or Toon Power. Its weight is a little too light to balance the Spin Spider. The reel did not feel flimsy, fighting 5-pounder and 4-pounders in the current. When putting 5-pounders from 16 feet plus of water, it also provided lots of power. And very notably, the drag did perform very well when the smallie gave sudden charges. Especially when using the Spin Spider, the rod does not bend deep. When the fish charges, rod does not absorb too much, so the fish pull the line directly. Thanks to the smooth and steady drag, line was out timely. Now, although I do think the drag performed as claimed, frankly, I think Vanford would have done the same. I don't think the rigid support drag is something you and I would be able to tell the difference with or without on a daily basis for freshwater bass fishing. I think it is rather a security. When it's paired with the first-gen NRX 822 SYR, I felt like holding a perfect combo for small jigs, tubes, and net rigs, because it balances much better than with the Spin Spider rod. Now, I really enjoyed using this setup fishing net and small tubes for smallmouths. Now, this combo also shines when throwing small tubes in the current. I had absolutely zero fatigue throwing this combo for multiple days. Going to fall, I paired the Complex XR with the brand new Megabus Evolution Lakiri, throwing finesse jigs in 45-degree water. Now, with some light laydowns, I had no problem pulling 1 to 2 pounders away from the underwater branches. Now, after a couple months use, I do feel like the smoothness of the Complex XR has dropped just a little bit, but overall, this reel held up pretty well for its weight. And compared to the Vanford, I am very happy to report the vexing screeching roller bearing issue did not occur on the Complex at all. Now, after a season of big smallies on Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, and St. Lawrence River, and also after pulling lodges from trees on my local waters, now the roller bearing is still quiet under load. Unlike the Vanford, which started noise only after one fish right out of the box. I got that all on video, and you can check that out video link in the description if you are interested. Now, given the fact that the Complex XR actually came 1 year later than the Vanford, now I'm not really sure if Shimano actually did some upgrade on the roller bearing to deal with the noise issue. But under the Vanford video we did last year, there are simply too many comments saying they had a noisy roller bearing issue on the 24 Vanford from day one. And that was uncommon for a Shimano reel, certainly unacceptable for a mid-price range spinning reel in 2024, in my opinion. Now, also, the vexing part of the roller bearing issue on the Vanford was, now you can oil it and the noise would go away. Then after a trip or two, it will be screeching again. Now, to me, I'd rather pay an extra $25 to get a reel free of trouble and stay trouble-free throughout the season. For any reel at a $200 price range, one should expect it to be trouble-free, brand new out of the box. This is really not too much to ask. So with the issue-free roller alone, Complex won me over the Vanford. So overall, I had really enjoyed using the 2025 Complex XR F6 2500 HG. Now, it is the silver twin of the Vanford with a slightly refined performance and a better roller. It makes a great mid-price range finesse application reel with good rigidity. Now, if you want the lightweight of a Vanford, but prefer a refined roller bearing and a silvery appearance to match your rod, then Complex XR would be the one for you. So this is for today, a quick review of the 2025 Shimano Complex XR. Now for next week, I will need my target species fish to cooperate a little bit first. So wish me some luck and tight lines until next time.